NewsX, in a major win for India, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has secured the return of a total of 297 antiquities smuggled from India to the United States. Well, these antiquities date back to around 4,000 years, mainly terracotta from eastern India. Prime Minister stated that this had deepened cultural connect and strengthened the fight against illicit trafficking of cultural properties. He also added that he was extremely grateful to President Biden and the US government for ensuring the return of 297 invaluable antiquities to India. Several antiquities have been returned by the US to India during Prime Minister Modi's previous visits as well. During PM's visit to the US in 2021, a total of 157 antiquities were handed over by the US government, including the exquisite bronze Nataraj statue from the 12th century CE. Similarly, during Prime Minister Modi's US visit in 2023, 105 antiquities were returned to India. Now, with this, the total number of stolen Indian antiquities recovered from the US since 2016 has gone up to 578, the maximum antiquities returned to India by any country. Notably, in July, India and the US had signed the first ever cultural property agreement to prevent and curb the illicit trafficking of antiquities from India to the US. Joining us at this point live is J.K. Tripathi, former diplomat. We also have Pathikrit Pain, international affairs expert, live with us. Vasant Shinde, historian, is joining us live. Utpal Kaul, his senior historian, is also live with us on the broadcast. Let me begin with you first, Ambassador Tripathi. How big a win for India is this development? Ambassador Tripathi, can you hear me? Okay, I think we've lost that connection with him, but let me take that to Pathikrit Pain. Pathikrit, this has been a big focus of Prime Minister Modi's government, getting back stolen antiquities, getting back our heritage item to India from various countries abroad, and now the US, of course, becomes the highest country to give back these stolen antiquities to India.
Uday, it's for me?
Yes, Pathikrit.
No, I think it's definitely a big win for India over the last few years. Prime Minister Modi, even while, encouraging and taking forward India's cultural, ethos and, ensuring that many of India's old temples are restored, has taken major strides in terms of returning the antiquities. As you mentioned, the total number of antiquities returned till date, it's been more than 500. I think it's still the tip of the iceberg. The enormity of, amount the artifacts that have been stolen from India for decades is like, countless perhaps. And therefore, even these things, when these things are returned, there are still, these museums in United Kingdom which are filled with artifacts and antiquities, and also, statues of deities of extremely important temples of India. So yes, Prime Minister Modi has taken major strides in terms of returning them, but I would still say it's the tip of the iceberg. My concern is, why is it that countries like United States return them in installments? When they know that these are stolen, why don't they do it in one go? And therefore, that is where I think if you ask me, my perspective on the Western interest or the approach of the Western countries in this matter is a little doubtful. So yes, they have returned 297, which is praiseworthy. But if they know, if they have classified those which are actually stolen from India, they should actually return in one go. At least United States is taking the effort in terms of returning them. United Kingdom give up extremely curious and shocking excuses for ensuring that the artifacts that they've stolen for centuries from many countries and not just of India are kept in their museums. Frankly speaking, if all of them are returned to their respective countries, colonized countries where they have taken, most of the museums in Britain and many other Western countries, Western European countries, will remain empty. That is the level of plunder they have done. And it's ironical that these countries then give lectures on human rights and morality and everything. Apart from many other areas where major important decisions have been taken during this trip, this is a step in the right direction, and I hope more comes in the future. Back to you.
Yes, Vasant Shinde, this is certainly a big step, a big development. 297 antiquities returned on this particular visit of the Prime Minister's to the United States. It certainly is a big achievement, Vasant Shinde. Just take us through, do we know which these antiquities are, any significant ones this time around? I know on previous occasion the Natraj statue had come back. That is also something that Prime Minister Modi had secured in the US. Vasant Shinde, your analysis of this big achievement.
Yeah, I think we should congratulate the government because the government has taken a lead now. This is happening from 2014 onward. It is important that how much we show interest in retrieving these objects from various countries. And unfortunately, before 2024, this effort was not made from the government side, very seriously. So I am really happy that government is making this particular efforts, and every artifact, in fact, for last 200 years or more, a lot of artifacts have been smuggled from this country, and particularly UK has plundered, in fact, this country, and they have amassed a huge amount of art objects of different cultural pages. In fact, there are even Harappan pots, Harappan seals, right from Harappan times, till present. They have huge number of artifacts, and some artifacts which have been maybe sent through the smuggling, which was there was a big racket, in fact, and a lot of objects which have been sent by through the smuggling. Now because of the initiative of government of India, these countries like Australia, USA, and even UK, they're identifying where these stolen objects are. They know, of course, as this Prakriti has mentioned earlier, that they know also that a lot of objects have been stolen, and they're kept in various museums. But they were not ready to return because there was no rigorous efforts from our side. And now that is happening, so this is a really good initiative. And every object, I will not say that this particular object is important. If you want to write our history properly, if you want to fill the missing links, then every object that is outside or which is not in fact in the custody of government, I think every object is important, and we should try to make this effort. I think within country also there are a lot of objects which are in the private collection, and fortunately I would like to mention here that the Archaeological Survey of India has taken initiative in this particular respect. Last 10 years they have listed down, they have got this national mission on monuments and antiquities, under which they are recording each and every object which are with them, with other institutions, even with the private collectors. So now we know that there are certain objects which are in various places. They are properly identified and recorded. So any object that is missing, that can be traced now. But before 2014, this exercise was not done. So I should congratulate this government, and I should congratulate you also for bringing out this important issue. And we should feel proud that our national cultural treasure is being retrieved and is being brought back. So certainly this is a huge victory for all of us, and particularly the government has made tremendous efforts in this particular respect. Thank you very much.
Okay, Utpal Kaul, in fact, let me quickly get you in here. Utpal Kaul, on this big development, what does it really say for India-US relations currently? What does it also say about the focus of the government that has, managed this feat every United States visit to get antiquities back to India? And what now should be the follow-up to this big development as well this time around?
Thank you very much, Uday. First of all, I have to congratulate Prime Minister Modi, Government of India, and also NewsX, because for last many years this has been a very important topic on your channel also, and it is a big event. I know that it is more than 640 items are back. But let me first tell you that now Modi has given a wonderful gift of silver railway to Biden President, and Pashmina shawl, because I mentioned especially about Pashmina shawl, which is our heritage for thousands of years from Kashmir. and Kashmir is another name in Encyclopedia Britannica and Encyclopedia Embrigo. It was shawl is another name. But coming back to our main topic, one of the priceless, I repeat, priceless items is the manuscript of Kashmirian version of Yajurveda. It is handwritten manuscript, I think nearly 800 to 900 years back. And it was the German scholar, Germany, they put good relations or to Viceroy. Viceroy forced, in a way, forced the Maharaja of Jammu and Kashmir to give this manuscript to send it to Germany. And like this, we have different levels. One is what is smuggled from India. Another is what, like the Kohinoor, what is taken by the government, by the British government and different governments. And another is that they manage it through big business people. So, as I totally agree with my friend here who said that all museums, I have gone around the world seeing different museums in Europe, in US, in Australia and different places. I think more than 50-60% items, sometimes 70% are from Indian subcontinent or from India and Pakistan, what was India. So it is a well begin, I can say, as we have got 640 items and I follow it very closely, and among them is some 11-12 items from Kashmir also, which has a great, if we dig any place in Kashmir, we will get some 10th century, 8th century, 5th century, some kind of statue. And Rajeshwari, it was brought from Germany, but we have to make it a national movement to bring back our great heritage in different ways, whether it's a manuscript, whether it's idol, whether it is whatever kind of images we have in different museums. So let us congratulate and encourage government, and it should be a people, and scholars must come forward to make it and expose those people. It is just a iceberg. It's a little what we have got. Lot much is to be done for it, but well begin is half done. That must be the spirit today. Thank you.
Yes, let me quickly take that back across to Pathikrit Pine as well. Pathikrit, as you were saying earlier, this of course is a big feat, but more needs to be done. What then should be the follow-up to this? What should now be our efforts moving ahead from the US also further, and also other countries now?
Well, as has been rightly mentioned by the other two respected panelists, that a lot of these have been plundered by the colonial rulers. Some of them have been stolen for the last few decades, and there is a exotic market where rich people buy these things. So what I think should be done is that any kind of stealing of antiquities, artifacts from our temples, museums, and things related to our historical past, any kind of stealing of such things should be defined as an organized crime. Unless you define it as an organized crime, and if you continue to deal with a petty crime with a punishment of no more than 3 years, they will continue doing this. Therefore, if you deal it with as an organized crime and have stringent punishment in place, if you make it a non-bailable offense, and if you make it an offense with potentially even a 10-year imprisonment or more, or heavy fine, then only it will create a deterrence. Even though efforts are being made, unprecedented efforts are being made by the government to bring back the artifacts, there is no guarantee that at the same time some unscrupulous elements are still parallelly trying in this country to smuggle those out, because the laws even today are not so strong, are not a deterrent to prevention of such things. So I think having defining it as an organized crime, having strong punishment will act as a deterrence. Otherwise, because this government has been very proactive things have improved. But you never know, tomorrow another government can come which might have a lackadaisical approach, as has been in the past of certain regimes, and the same plundering will continue. So we need to have preventive measures in place. What is happening now is recovery is like a cure, but prevention is more important and equally important. Therefore, strong laws defining it as an organized crime is important. Back to you.
Yes, okay. Let me, in fact, also now ask you then, Vasant Shinde, which countries should we focus on moving ahead, and also which are some of those items that abroad should be brought back to India very, very soon? Which are you keenly awaiting for their return?
I think there are countries like UK, for example, UK and France. They have looted our cultural heritage very systematically, and it was a state-sponsored crime that they have done in the past. So the British Museum, particularly, it houses the entire history of South Asia, right from this maybe Stone Age to the modern times. And there are very, very important objects like Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj sword, for example, the Kohinoor jewel that is so important. And besides that, there are some very, very important Gandhar and this Mathura sculptures, which are very important because without the presence of these objects, perhaps we are not really able to fill the gap in the history of South Asia. And what is ironical is that the Indians, South Asians, they have to take permission, from these governments, from these museums to study them. We have to, this is insulting for us. So this is, this is a really, a very serious matter. And after USA, maybe these efforts with USA also should continue. But UK, needs to be focused, and the government needs to be, really, really proactive in this respect in UK also. We know that how many objects are there. In fact, we have some list of the objects also. Apart from those which are smuggled, about about which we do not have any idea. But we also know that there are a lot of objects which are known to us, which are in the museums of UK, and to some extent in France also. So this is really essential that we obtain we acquire this for our nation, for to restore our pride, and also to fill the gaps in fact in the history of the country. And the other thing that which needs to be done, preventive action is very important. Preventive measures is very important. So most of the museums that they house these sculptures or the objects, they also need to conduct very rigorous outreach program, and they also need to make aware about the about the importance of our cultural heritage, because a lot of people in the villages or in the surrounding area, they are sometimes not aware about the importance of our cultural heritage. So they either they just sell them off or they neglect them. So if you create this awareness among the people and tell them how important they are for our nation, not only as a pride but also from the point of view of writing history, then perhaps this maybe some maybe there will be some checkmate on on this aspect. So that also needs to be done. It is not only the responsibility of the government, but all of us who are maybe concerned about the heritage. I think we need to be more proactive, and as and when required, maybe we can give support to the government. We can also help in identifying the objects that are lying in various museums, and maybe the government can then take on their own. So this is also required from our side also. Thank you.
Okay, let me in fact take that across to Utpal Kaul once again as well. Utpal Kaul, which are some of those items which still remain abroad that you would like to see coming back to India very soon? Also, how is our foreign policy shift managed to achieve what earlier we couldn't?
Uday, because I know the smuggling of these most precious items, I think for last 50 years, because we caught one person red-handed who stole statue in our temple and sold it to a smuggler, and we made a big hue and cry nearly 50 years back. and then police came into action, and there were police case, FIR, and all that. And now, what I understand for all these years, that there is hardly any museum. There are not only government museums where we have ticket and we go and see it in Europe, but there are private museums. There are people have private museums. I think every person have those persons who have private museums in Europe, they will definitely have 50% of items from India or what to South Asia or Indian subcontinent. And then third thing is that it's a constant thing happening for last, I can say, 250 years. And again, after 70, for last 75 years, it was now the smugglers. Earlier, it was the British government and French government, or we can say not only. I will include Germany. We have lot many items in Germany. We have lot many items in France. We have lot many items in Spain. And so I think hardly any country in Europe, leaving 2-3 countries, but rest of the countries, you go to any museum, you will find lot many items in these museums. But I am more concerned because I am from tourism industry also, so I know how much secretly, silently this is a organized business, organized crime, and so this is so lucrative business. Now people make some price statues and then do it as if it's an antique. But if I am sitting with very respected panelists, my understanding is that from our Indian side, I include Pakistan also because that's a part of us in cultural heritage. We have 500,000 items around the globe. It can be US, it can be Europe, it can be Australia and other places. But what I again say, that I totally agree with our young friend here, that we must have strong laws, and it must be a very, very punishable offense. And when it becomes a punishable offense, and if some people are caught and understanding to other countries that these are our heritage, and if you want good relations with us, you will have to hand over these, because these don't need to be in Hamburg, in Vienna, in Paris, or in Houston, or in New York. These items belong to India. They will be shown in Orissa, in New Delhi, or in Mumbai, or any place in India. So we will have to work and work in a very organized manner. And let me tell you, foreign policy from 2014 is different than what we may have the basic structure same, but India, people consider now India as a country reckoned with, and Narendra Modi has shown that he has capacity and capability to give the world leadership. So that makes things to happen, and I think if by now we have 640 items back, maybe within some years it will be 6,000 items back in India after many centuries and decades. Thank you very much.
Yes. Okay. Let me, in fact, also quickly ask you, Vasant Shinde, how we can now market these products, for historic purposes, of course, so that students study the history and the antecedents of these artifacts and antiquities, but also we now display these items prominently for tourism to be attracted, through museum visits, and also those keen to come from abroad to see them in their rightful home.
Yeah, I think there is a very important initiative that is taken by the Archaeological Survey of India. The previous objects which were acquired from these countries, including US and Australia, they have been displayed nicely in the Purana Kila area of Delhi, and that is under the jurisdiction of the Archaeological Survey of India. So I think my suggestion to the Archaeological Survey of India and to the Ministry of Culture, that once we have the objects which we acquire from the foreign countries, Now there should be special exhibitions of these, in different parts of the or different cities of the country, so that people become aware that this was the heritage that was stolen from us. So maybe there will be some awareness among the people also, and people also will come to know that this is a important heritage which fills the gap of the history. Now that has come back, and now we can start again working on correcting the history, and maybe incorporating some of the important aspects about which we have little idea. So these objects are very, very important from that point of view. And also, as I said earlier, that there should be a special drive for for making awareness among the people, and that is working very well. In fact, now I have done that in different parts of the country. The Archaeological Survey of India is doing also. So that is to some extent, that is also preventing maybe smuggling of the objects also. So similar exercise needs to be done. And fortunately, as Kaul Saab has mentioned, that India has a cloud now. India is developing very fast, and now India's voice is heard now by most of the countries. So I think we are in a state of bargain also. Whenever any country wants to have or establish very strong trade relation with us, maybe we can put a condition that whatever object that you have country stolen objects, I think you return. Similarly, we can also do that if we have some objects here. So that should be some kind of reciprocal agreement between these different countries, and there should be a written agreement among these countries, so that regularly this type of exercise happens, and whosoever is there in power, I think they will make sure that the our cultural heritage is brought back, and it is for the development of the nation, and the tourism industry will certainly flourish if we have all these objects back to our country. And I'm sure that that will also happen eventually once this process is being continued.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.